The only game to be released in May of 1984, it's Nintendo's Golf, the third title in Nintendo's Sports series. One thing you might notice here is that Golf is entirely devoid of any sort of music whatsoever. I mean, there are some sound effects, but there's no music during the title screen or during the game itself. This might be considered evidence that Nintendo were stretching themselves a bit thin when it comes to getting out all these games. Well, anyway, Nintendo's Golf introduces a control scheme that would become pretty much standard for golf games on the system. You use the D-pad to select which golf club you want to use, and use the left and right on the D-pad to control sort of the general direction of your swing. Golf also uses a very interesting mechanic to actually control your swing. You press the button once to move your club back. Once you've got it back far enough, press it again to move it forward, and then press it a third time right when the arrow reaches those little group of white lines on the meter below you. The second button press will control the power of the swing. The further you let it go back, the stronger your swing will be. Pressing the button again when the little arrow is right in that little group of white boxes there will make your swing more accurate. If you press it too early or too late, you will either hook or slice the ball. But this rather unique control scheme makes golf a little revolutionary. Of course, there had been golf video games before this. For example, there were some games on the 2600, and there were some arcade golf games as well, but this mechanism used to hit the ball is actually quite new. Some of the older arcade games used a trackball. That is, you'd hit the ball and then you'd move the trackball as fast as you could in order to get the golf ball to move. And of course, there are lots of nice little realistic touches, like you can tell which direction the wind is blowing. There are water traps, sand traps, all that sort of thing. Now in comparison to using the regular golf clubs, putting is a little bit different. As you see, there's no white boxes. You can't really sort of cause your ball to go astray using putting, but you can hit it not hard enough or too hard and it'll go right past the hole. And also the greens tend to sort of have a little bit of a slant to them. The arrows on the green will show you which direction the green is sort of graded. So when you hit your ball, it won't necessarily go completely straight. It can go downhill a bit and miss the hole. And of course, as you may have figured out, I guess this guy is supposed to be Mario. Probably looking as unlike Mario as he ever has. Also very clearly depicted here as being sort of a chubby fellow. On the Japanese box art, you don't see his face, and he doesn't look like Mario whatsoever. On the US box art, he was clearly drawn as being Mario. I guess it is a little weird to see Mario dressed up in civilian clothing. In Japan, this game was quite successful. It sold, I think, several million copies, one of the better-selling games of the system as far as I'm aware. It certainly influenced enough other golf games. Most of the subsequent games on the Famicom really seemed kind of like a slight variation on this one. Nintendo themselves would go on to release numerous golf games, all of which were very similar to this. By today's standards, the game is a little on the simple side, but it still plays pretty well.